Another activity that a lot of people are interested in is growing strawberries, because they're one of our nation's favourite fruits. And you can do this even if you don't have a garden, if you just have a balcony or a very small area. I've put these in a hanging basket. I usually grow them in the vegetable plot, but I'm very short of space this year. So I decided to uproot some plants out of the vegetable plot and put them in a hanging basket. And as you can see, I've inserted them in the various gaps around the hanging basket, and I've also lined it with moss to stop the soil coming out, and filled it with really good quality compost. And there's I've planted around all the planting holes, and there's about 5 plants in the top. This too will need to be kept well watered, because one of the downsides of growing in containers is that they do dry out more quickly. But hopefully in a few weeks this will come into flower and then into fruit. And the important thing to remember, apart from regular watering, is there's only one thing about strawberries, is that they are loved by the birds. And if this hanging basket goes outside, and undecided whether to leave it in the greenhouse or take it outside, depends on its pollination, it will need netting, because the birds will come down and eat it. And it's a bit of a shame to have all those lovely red strawberries to find them all gone the next day, because the birds have been feasting on them. There's berries out there for the birds without having our strawberries. So making a strawberry hanging basket is ideal. This basket may look a little bit unattractive because it's plastic and not very fancy, but actually it's a really good hanging basket because it's got a water reservoir in the bottom, and for something like strawberries where you want to make sure that they get enough water and you're not watering it all the time, this type of basket works very well. Other things you can be doing in the garden at this time of year: trim back lavender, so into a neat shape, not cutting into the old wood, just trimming off the spent flowers. April's also a time for staking herbaceous perennials, and this border may look a bit sparse, but it is primarily a herbaceous border, so in April it's really only just starting to come into life. This is a peony, beautiful flower, and you can see the buds are just starting to appear on it, so it's a good idea to get the stakes in place before the buds get and the plant gets much taller. Now, convention is to use often metal plant supports. There's one in particular people use for peonies where you can raise it up as the plant grows, and I agree, very, very useful, but I have a preference for using offcuts, prunings. I think they look more natural, it puts them to good use, and you need to kind of cut them to the shape and size that you want. And the chances are I will add at least another 1 or 2 around this peony as it grows. But if you get the stake in, obviously it needs to go down a good way. And as this plant, let me just push it a little bit, as the peony grows, you can kind of arrange it so that the buds rest across it. And I might well put some raffia or string around it as well to give it the extra support. You can trim back unwanted bits, you can add some more to it once you've got the basic framework in place. But of course different plants require different types of staking. Just coming up over there are some delphiniums. Now delphiniums are very tall, straight plants, and they will require tall single stakes around them with string to give them a kind of support. Sometimes you can grow them up through other shrubs, and that's quite good support. But when we get, as we sometimes do, summer storms, they do have a tendency to snap. So I would support peonies, delphiniums. Alliums as well can be a bit prone to gusty winds, although it's beautiful now. We all know that our weather can change very quickly. So any of your perennials that are going to grow tall with big flower heads, have a think about whether to get some stakes around them now. And if you can't get any, because we can't get out to the garden centres or the shops, prunings, offcuts are ideal. I've just finished the rather lengthy job of weeding the borders, and I've done that because I want to put a mulch over the borders, and this will help to keep in moisture, and it helps to suppress the weeds. And if the weeds do seed, they tend to seed in the top of the mulch, and they're very easy to get out. Personally, I use Strulch. I don't get paid for saying that. It's just a really good form of mulch, and it's quite lightweight and it's easy to handle in the garden. So getting the borders weed free and then mulching them will mean that you don't have to weed them all through the summer. And the other thing that you can do, and traditionally do in April, is plant early potatoes. This is potato planting time, growing them in containers or in the ground, but the main thing to remember is that the top of the potatoes are not frost hardy. So if they do come up before end of May, you will need to keep an eye on them, and if there is a frost, you'll need to put a cover over them to make sure they don't get frosted. That's all explained in another video about planting potatoes, but April is an absolute ideal time to get early potatoes in the ground or in containers. And the other thing to remember is to enjoy your garden. Take solace from it, find some peace and quiet in this really difficult time that we're all going through. Gardening is very good for physical and mental well-being, and we all need to look after ourselves at this time.